So there are some carved paintings you can see which can easily tell your story. By the way, you can very well interpret a story if you want to in your free time. Okay, so what is next we have? This is portrait. This is the time when the people used to have food, they used to take water, they used to take things. So these are ancient. Now, this is a kind of a tool for farming. And now the jewelry. Now the people of the Indus Valley civilization, which we'll come to know later on, they were very fond of wearing the jewelry. So when the archaeologists, they used to excavate different areas, they found many kind of jewelries like that. So this is one of the leftovers of the ancient people we'll come to know. And then, most importantly, a question. Basically, it's a question for you all, that why we need to know about the past. Well, later on, I'm going to give you a written task, and I want you to write me the answer for that. And don't search for it. I want you to think about it, and I want you to write it by yourself. That why we need to know about the past. Maybe most of you will be thinking that talking about the past is the wastage of time, because right now we should think about the future. But no, there is a reason that we should know about the past. Well, the past will let you know about the development of the humans over the thousands of years. Don't you want to know that how your ancestors were living before, how were their lifestyle, and if they were living in a basic lifestyle, how their lifestyle turned into a modern lifestyle? For instance, do you know at the time of the Morel, they don't have ACs, they don't have fans, and now they do have. For instance, in the farming, they were using carts, they were using bulls for the farming, and now they have the tractors, they have the digger, they have harvesters. So how the simple tools have turned into a modern tools. And the most important thing, the history, they link us to one's identity. They link us to our identity. Through the history, we come to know from where we have arrived, what are our origin. So it's very important. Now, we're going to say how Pakistan is important, because definitely we're talking about the history. So definitely it will come into your mind that why we're not talking about our country's history. So let's talk a little bit about our country. Now, Pakistan is not just only important historically, which you'll come to know in the later chapters, but it's also important geographically. And your geography teacher, she will definitely going to put some light into that matter. Now, just look at this map. Now, if we look detailed in this map, you'll come to know that on the west side, we have Iran and we have Afghanistan. And then to the north are the Hindu Kush mountains, across which are the Afghanistan and the Central Asian plains. And again to the north and northeast are the Karakoram and Himalayas, beyond which are the Chinese and India. To the south is the Arabian Sea. So if you keep an eye detailed, you'll come to know that Pakistan is actually surrounded by wonderful countries which have wonderful civilizations. So it means that Pakistan was actually the crossroad of the historical movements. And that's why whenever somebody had done a trade, whenever somebody had crossed Pakistan, they have left some kind of their marks on our language, on our lifestyle, and our culture. Wait, let me give you an example. You know that our national language is that is Urdu. And in our national language, Urdu is a mixture of Persian, it's a mixture of Arabic, and a mixture of different other languages. So it means that the people who crossed Pakistan, who crossed subcontinent, they somehow left there some part of the language in our major language. And then comes the lifestyle. Our lifestyle is a mixture of different culture, and this is all about our style and our culture. Okay, so the next thing that you're going to read in the whole book, now I'm going to give you a little bit glimpse of the book and the chapters which we are going to read further on. That is from 2500 BCE to 16th century, or you can say 16th Common Era. Now, before Common Era and Common Era, these are the things we're going to discuss later on in the video, but right now, this is a little bit of the idea. Now, not only we're going to read about the subcontinent, and we're also going to read about the contemporary civilization of that time. For instance, in the subcontinent, we're going to read about the Indus Valley civilization. I hope you know about the subcontinent. It's about when India and Pakistan, they were living together, or in short, when Hindus and Muslims were living together. And then comes the contemporary civilization. And in contemporary civilization, you'll come to know about Mesopotamian. You're going to read about Egyptians, Persians, Greek civilization, Roman civilization, and the most ancient is the Chinese civilizations. Well, all of these civilizations, they are divided into a part of chapters. You're going to read in details and definitely going to enjoy them. Okay, so the next very important thing is about measuring time. Now, one thing I would like to tell you that as you are going to read history, so consider yourself a historian, because definitely you're going to read the history now. So as an historian, you should know how you're going to measure the time, or how the people of the ancient are going to measure the time. They used to measure their times. Well, the way they used to measure their time, they have used the markers. Now, the markers were actually the important events they used to have. Now, let me tell you some examples. Okay. The ancient Greeks, when they start measuring the time, they started measuring the time from first Olympic Games. Now, all of you must have heard about the Olympic Games, and you know that the Olympic game of Tokyo that was supposed to be happening in Tokyo 2020 is just cancelled because of that threat and pandemic. But in ancient Greek, when this for the first time started measuring the time, they needed some major event. So the most important event of their life was the first Olympic Games. So they started measuring the time from the first Olympic game. Okay. And then come the Gregorian calendar. Now, in the modern historians, they used to measure the time from the Gregorian calendars. Now, you will be a little bit confused at what is a Gregorian calendar. And if you just look into the picture, you might get confused at what's going on. What are the circles there? What are the pictures there? Wait, let me tell you what is a Gregorian calendar. Now, the modern historians, they have a belief that as you know, that they used to adore and they used to believe on Christianity, and according to the Christians, the birth of Jesus Christ, which in Islam we say it as Hazrat Isa, they say the time before the birth of Jesus Christ or Hazrat Isa is called BCE, before Common Era, and the time after his death is called CE, that is Common Era. Okay. Now you can see it very clearly that in the center we have the birth of Jesus, and on one side we have BCE, that is known as before Common Era, that means before his birth, and then later on we have CE, Common Era, that is after the birth. So that's how they used to calculate the time. So if we say 2500 BCE, it means that the time before the birth of the Jesus, 25,000 years ago. And if we say 25 CA, that means that 25 years right after the birth of Jesus, that is a Common Era. Okay, now I have a video for you, and this video is actually linked on your material. You can watch this video and it will tell you about the difference between BC AD and BCE. Now, I'm not using the word AD over here because AD and CE both are same. AD is actually replaced with CE. But after watching this video, I want you to search for the difference between AD, BC, BCA, and there is a written text related to it, so you will love doing it. Now, the question is, what about Islam? These are the two things we have learned, that how the ancient Greeks and how the modern historians and Christians, they used to calculate the time, to measure the time. Excuse me. Now in Islam, the time measuring was considered between the migration of Hazrat Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, our last prophet, when he started his journey from Makkah to Medina. Yes, when he migrated from Makkah to Medina. After that, that time era is known as Islamic Era, and we also call it AH, which means Anno Hijriya. You're going to search it on the internet, you can find it very easily. So if we say that Huzur Pak Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, he died on 11th Hijri, it means that right after the migration of 11 years, he was sent back to Allah. So 11th Hijri, we tell about the time era. Okay, and the Islamic calendar that we use is called Hijri. Okay, now let's come to the written task that you have to do over the weekend. So now first thing, you have to design a timeline of important events of life starting from your birth with the help of a video mentioned in the sources. Okay, like I have told you before, I'm going to send you a video. You're going to watch the video in detail and make a wonderful timeline. And I want to know you through your timeline, so you have to make it incredible, remarkable. Next, how can the age of an object be confirmed? Well, for this, you have to read the first chapter of your book and consider it as an open book question, and you'll find how you're going to find out an age of an object. Well, you don't need to study, you don't need to search on the internet for that. The answer is right over there. Why do we need to know about the past? Now, I told you earlier that this is the question that will come in your mind when you're going to start reading history, you're going to start studying history. So why do we need to know about the past? How about you give me 3 points related to it? Now, the next assignments that you have to do is search the internet to find the definition of the following terminologies. Archaeologist, who is an archaeologist? Historian, yes, you are a historian, but still I want you to give me a definite definition. Civilizations, what are they? Carbon dating, well, now this word is new for you, so search for it. Remains, that is left over, what does it mean? BCE, BC, AD, and AH. So these are your tasks, these are your written material that you have to do, and best of luck with that. Thank you.